Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Game for Scratch, and sorry for the three-video day, but there's just been a lot going on today. So earlier on, we found out about game developer salaries, and then we had Unity announcing their new Mars AR technology that unfortunately is locked behind the paywall. And of course, you knew Unreal Engine had to make an approach here somewhere, right? They're going to lock something behind a paywall, and make their own announcement, right? Well, not quite. Actually, what they announced is another mega grant. And this one is going to a company called Cesium. We'll get back to what the mega grant program is in just a second. But first, we're going to focus on Cesium. And Cesium is kind of a world data technology, the 3D spatial data that you can stream out of their servers and potentially into your game in real time. So what we're looking at here is now a collaboration between Epic Games to create Cesium for Unreal Engine. Here we'll go from the press release, the blog on Cesium. So this marks the first time a full-scale, high-precision 3D globe is plugged into a leading game engine, opening a world of possibilities for Unreal users. Together, we will be advancing training and simulation architecture, games, AR, VR, autonomous driving, and other industries by enabling 3D tiles to be streamed into Unreal for accurate visualization of real-world locations captured by satellites and drones using the same 3D geospatial knowledge that's gone into Cesium JS for nearly a decade. And here you can actually see it running in Unreal Engine, the data being brought in. Unfortunately, there's two things going on. First off, Unreal Engine is not available as of yet. And second, I don't know that the data is going to be usable for the vast majority of 3D games in its current state, but it's still a neat idea to bring in a huge amount of real-world data. I think like Google Maps, but you can fly into it in real time, streamed in. And yeah, let's keep going here. So blah, 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 blah. Our focus is on growing 3D geospatial ecosystem using 3D tiles format, the OGC community standard for efficient streaming of massive heterogeneous real-world 3D datasets for visualization and analysis. 3D tiles is widely used by governments and commercial entities for global scale terrain, city-scale photogrammetry, and massive point clouds from LiDAR. Now, LiDAR is like it's like radar, so that's the DAR part. If you've ever seen someone basically walking around with a dome on top of a stick, they're probably doing a LiDAR scan. It's a way of getting point cloud data in 360 degrees around you. And it's often used in games for capturing data for, say, real-world racetracks. And also, interestingly enough, point clouds is a big part of the new data format coming in Unreal Engine 5, basically promising a streamed unlimited polygon budgets. It'd be interesting to see if that actually arrives, but that's the idea behind Unreal Engine 5. So there's a nice synergy here between the two. So 3D tiles enable the streaming of massive geometry and textures, as well as semantics computed by AI algorithms for use for filtering, styling, and analysis at runtime. For example, per point classification in a point cloud can be used to filter out the foliage. Why is that word in every damn video I do? Or material properties on the side of a building in photogrammetry models that can be used for telecom. So RF propagation takes into account concrete or glass. Now here's the key one. Cesium for Unreal will be open source and available for free on the Unreal Engine marketplace. So that is the cool thing here. This technology is completely free. Now the data, not so much. There is a free private edition available. So if you're using this for personal use, there is a free access to the data. We'll get to that in just a minute, but it's not completely free. You still have to pay for their back-end content. And we'll go into that a little bit. Cesium for Unreal will have a default connection to the Cesium Ion SaaS, which is software as a service platform for ready-to-use 3D tiles of terrain and 3D buildings, the best-in-class content pipeline for generating efficient 3D tiles from source data such as terrain imagery, photogrammetry models. Cesium for Unreal will also be able to stream 3D tiles over on-premise private networks with Cesium Ion. So you can actually create and bring in your own data as well. So that is kind of it. We're going to go back in time just a slight little bit and talk about the Epic MegaGrant program. Now, this was first announced at GDC in 2019. And if you are a regular to this channel, you've already been exposed to it several times in the past because they have previously funded a number of projects. Supported projects have included the likes of the Blender Foundation to the tune of $1 million. They supported the Dust 3D modeling application, Armory Paint. It just kind of keeps going and going. They even supported the rival game engine Godot with a mega grant. So this is $100 million basically to just improve the ecosystem in the world of game developers, enterprise professionals, media, and entertainment creators somehow involved with either Unreal Engine or open source 3D graphics community. And this is another investment they have made. Now, in terms of Cesium itself, as I mentioned earlier on, it is not completely free. The data, you can get it, $0 community edition. This gets you up to 5 gigabytes of storage and 15 gigabytes a month of streaming. But that one obviously is personal license. So if you want to create your own project here, you're probably going to stay within those limits. But then when you start jumping up, more data, more streaming, more cost. But even then, 150 gigabytes per month is $150. Then we go on, premium jumps up a bit more, and then custom that's call us, this is going to hurt kind of territory. So you can see the data being used on the back end. There is a free tier in a non-commercial setting, but you will have to pay for that back end part. But this mega grant is going to make the Unreal Engine client a completely free purchase. So a little bit more about Cesium. They have Cesium JS. This is an open source Apache 2 licensed integration. So basically you can use JavaScript to access their Cesium technologies on the back end. You can see Ion is the key project, but you can see from this integration, it's a lot like Google Maps. So here, let's go to the very beginning, home. All right, here we go. So we got two different views of that. We can do a flat view or we can do a globe view. And now, okay, now I'm in Africa. Here we go, zoom in. And if you've used Google Maps, you got an idea what we're dealing with. And if you know where I'm from, you know where I'm going here. So let's just kind of keep zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. So there you go. There you see 3D data, and then some of this is backed up with drone footage to capture 3D buildings. We'll see that in just a second. But as you see, this is being streamed in tiles. For this kind of stuff, I can see it being useful for something like a flight simulator around the real world. But where you really want to kind of get most interesting is when they get into the 3D building scanning stuff, and that's down here a little bit. Now, I got to admit, the graphic fidelity of the stuff I've seen isn't good enough yet, but you can also implement real-world GIS data, things like landscape data out there. I guess you could capture your own LiDAR point clouds as well. And then they've got their 3D tile system. This is the stuff that's being basically brought in, and you could use it to populate a 3D world. So think about it. You could have something like GTA 7 that is literally streaming in real-time, real-world data that, due to Unreal Engine 5's proclaimed, basically unlimited polygon limit, and combine these two technologies together, and you can really start seeing a potential future. Now, that potential isn't there yet, but as you can see from some of the examples here, this is their sandbox that I'm looking at. This is where it starts to get interested. So we get into 3D tiles right here, and this is populated data in the real world. Now here we're not seeing a bunch of texturing on them, so you'd still need textures to go with it, but then you can start getting a mix of real world mapping and 3D models on top, or we can get into 3D tile photogrammetry. And again, the quality isn't there yet, but you can see here, this is 3D scans of the real world. Now you're going to see cars down here. They're going to be a little blotchy, obviously, right? So the scan wasn't really accurate enough to pick up everything in the world. But the cool thing about this kind of data, since it is captured this way, this would be the stuff they capture with drones, you can do a 3D view around it. So this is the kind of thing that their technology is used for now. Again, it's not ready for games as of yet. The precision and the detail at the low level isn't there, but that's more a product of the data set than of the technology. So it'll be interesting to see where this ultimately goes. By the way, the Sandbox, I'll link this or the linked article down below. So if you want to jump in and play around with some of the features and functionality they have here, that is available here. So you can see the various different approaches they have, OSM data here. So again, these are low polygon, probably a very limited use until they're fully 3D textured and such, but we're only like a step away from that. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting project. You can see here from their examples, there's an absolute ton that you can go through. But the part that I actually probably found most interesting is the 3D photogrammetry approach. And then of course we could go into point clouds. And here's a point cloud in action. This is a scanning of a building, but unfortunately, their particular scan isn't of the highest quality. And for some reason, the building around it, the terrain level is pretty crap. But I've actually seen some point clouds that are quite really quite impressive. And this is sort of the technology that Unreal Engine 5 seems to be going for in the future as we move to, I guess you could say, a post polygonal age. So yeah, this is the announcement. Cesium is now basically sponsored MegaGrants from Unreal Engine. They're going to be creating an Unreal Engine plugin that's going to make accessing this kind of data super easy. And as you saw, different price tiers are available there, but you can start seeing where this could really lead with games in the future going forward. So this technology is going to be coming. I don't actually know when, unfortunately, but what I do know is it's not locked behind a paywall. All right, salted that wound. That's about it. So this, again, the announcement, Cesium is now going to be available for Unreal Engine due to a MegaGrants collaboration. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this technology in general. Do you see any use in gaming, or do you agree with me? The data sets themselves have to come quite a ways. When you start bringing in your own stuff, your own LiDAR data sets, or other real-world data collection stuff for your 3D levels and maps, and start streaming it using this technology, I can see the potential there. So it'll be interesting to see how hard it is to supplement with your own data, and it'll be interesting to see where their data goes for fidelity, if it is going going to be 100% drop-in game ready because it's really kind of a cool concept. Maybe in a few years' time, where you can literally stream in the real world, AAA quality, any game developer directly in Unreal Engine. That is the potential. It ain't there yet, but it's the first steps, I guess we could say. So let me know what you think of this, the technology in general, the announcement, Unreal Engine, and everything else. And I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.